Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the world famous podcast, Beating the Press. You two wonderful hosts, one better than the other. My name's Ty, we've obviously got Christian as well. Great to have you on board. As always, if this is your kind of thing, football's your thing, give us that like, give us that subscribe to our channel because that's pretty much all we talk about. Today's podcast will be on the game of the season, game of every season for me, and I think most fans, regardless of who the owners are, how rich your club is, who's top of the league. These two clubs are the two greatest clubs in England. Whenever they play, it's the best game of the season, I think. But I think us as Liverpool fans, we always look out for these two fixtures whenever they're released. And the first of them is this Sunday at Old Trafford. So it's Man United against Liverpool on Sunday. So we thought we'd do a quick preview podcast on that. So with that being said, I'll pass over to Chris to kick us off before I 2 foot into the
before you go around.
Yeah.
No, I like you. I look forward to this game every year, and I also don't. That's a simple fact, just to lose the game. The thought of losing the game against United is always the one that hurts the most. They all hurt, but nothing like this one. And it's not even because we get banter anymore. No one sends me banter. No Man United fans send me banter because it's just gone by the wayside once they stop winning titles. But yeah, I'm going into this one pretty optimistic, but with a little bit of a thought in my mind. I'm really hoping we don't hammer them because I can't have Ollie leaving anytime soon. So if we're going to do it, I want a nice little 2-1, a 3-2 or something like that. But knowing this game, it'll be a boring 1-0 because we look forward to this game so much. It rarely lives up to expectation. If you think of when we essentially won the league. We played against them. We won 2-0. That was a great atmosphere for us, but it wasn't necessarily a great game for them. And I can think of loads of games where it was just a subpar game, but you can't help but still look forward to it. And obviously, there's been a lot of build-up with Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher and all that on Monday Night Football and then picking their teams. And obviously, we'll go into that in a second. But yeah, it's one that I'm massively looking forward to. What about yourself? Do you think this might be the game where Ole goes?
No, so I've been thinking about this, and when I found out it was the next game, and the podcast we had with Lewis when we were talking about Ole in or Ole out. We said we almost want Ole to get a result, even if it means beating Liverpool. And that's come to the fore now, hasn't it? And I just think we're that stage. But we also said Solskjaer is one of those managers where when his luck's completely out, he'll put his last 20p in and he'll win. And it wouldn't be surprised me if he wins and they win and he's there for a bit more. And, if I'm being brutally honest, if it means he's still at Man United, I think happy days, you know what I mean? Because, even if I think the club... And him, we've spoke about the Ole podcast, in itself to say where he is. But yeah, I just think it's. I'm looking forward to it in the fact that I think we are now getting very close to where we were 2 years ago, and obviously players are back, and Marcel is the best player in the world. Man United are really interesting in that. I'd be interested to see what team he plays. Does he play with the two holders? Does it mean he's dropping one of the wide men to get Pogba out wide, and does he drop Pogba? I just think the whole thing. I think Ronaldo playing as well, and there's so many question marks about that team. Maguire looks brutal against Leicester. Varane's I don't know whether Varane's out, which is going to be a huge issue as well. Wan-Bissaka is just Wan-Bissaka. I think there's a lot of question marks against them, but then it's one of those games where if you ever wanted a game to get the team together and get you playing and going and get your result, that's the game. I think it's going to be. Part of me thinks it's going to be close because just by that latest argument saying, when your back's against the wall and your top players, you want to respond. But then part of me is thinking if it goes anything like the way it played against Leicester, well, the way that Man United have played this season, not just Leicester, they're in a false position because the games they've won they should have lost, like Wolves, for example. The results they've had, the Villarreal game they should have lost. They're just massively overperforming. And Liverpool have been good, you know what I mean? I think they've played well. They've played the big clubs, and they probably should have had 6 points, even though they've got 2 draws, but they've not got beat. So I think there's good I think you're happier being a Liverpool fan, but Man United fan, you're obviously wanting, them to show up and turn up. And for me, just looking at the Man United, I think Liverpool's team's obviously quite settled. I think Man United's issue is obviously the front five. I would actually go and revert back to when Pogba played in the left, meaning sacrificing Sancho or Greenwood. Well, it won't be Greenwood, so I'd actually go your two midfielders, where it's McTominay and Fredo, McTominay and Matic, and then go Greenwood and Pogba, and then Fernandes off and Ronaldo. I think it gives you a bit more defensive solidity, and especially with that ball, because Liverpool can have most of the ball in that game. So it's just trying to think, how can you play? Obviously, playing Pogba on the left, you lose. Man United will be counter-attacking, and that's just the way they've played against Liverpool, because Liverpool, Man City, the only team against Liverpool that actually go head-to-head against them. Every other team just counter-attacks. So they will counter-attack. Obviously, with Pogba playing on the left, you lose that pace in the break. So you're basically relying a lot on Greenwood and Ronaldo's pace in transition. So that's probably something that Solskjaer and Man United have been thinking about, do we do that, or do we just go with Sancho and Greenwood and ask them to work more the other way? But go.
The biggest problem that watching the Leicester game, the biggest problem that I've seen was their inability to play out from the back. In particular, Maguire. Obviously, he's just coming back from injury, but it was quite ridiculous. And now they're coming up against a team that thrives on teams playing from the back. So I see them heavily struggling, particularly with Varane out. Again, they're not the greatest team playing out from the back as it is. If they try that, it's going to play straight into Liverpool's hands. If they launch it, it's going to play straight into our hands. I think it's going to be a long game for Man United, and personally think that the fans are they're not going to be able to take a defeat, never mind a heavy defeat. And I think this is going to be a massive turning point for Ole. But I just want to know your thoughts on Gary Lineker's team. I think he put in Maguire ahead of Matip.
Gary Neville, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Gary Neville. He put Maguire ahead of Matip, and surprisingly ahead of Varane as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think he brought in Cristiano Ronaldo instead of maybe
Greenwood. I think Gary Greenwood.
Yeah, Greenwood. Yeah, exactly. Just your thoughts on Gary Neville's team and the combination, the combined 11.
Yeah, I mean, we've spoke about it and before about Matip. He's the most underrated centre back in world football. This is a guy who's played in Champions League finals, been brilliant, won Premier Leagues, played. He said something yesterday, which I'm surprised Carragher didn't come back at him at, and I thought it was a really shit week argument. He said, he was playing alongside Van Dijk. You'll look good with Van Dijk alongside you. Matip played when Van Dijk wasn't there. Matip played at centre half, and we were good. He was basically leader. It was him alongside whoever, Fabinho, Henderson, whoever. But he was the main guy there because everyone else was injured, and he was good. He was holding us together. Then he went in, got injured, and that's when we had that massive 6-run game when we couldn't win a game. So he kept that back line together. I think Matip is, he's brilliant. Liverpool fans just, I mean, I think long term it'll obviously be Van Dijk and Gomez, but I think at the moment Matip is just top notch. He's improved beyond recognition from when we signed him as a free transfer from Schalke. I think Harry Maguire, he's obviously got the old plays for England, plays for Man United. So let's get him. We've spoke about Maguire. I think Maguire will struggle to play for. I mean, he wouldn't, from all the top 4 clubs, the ones that were 4 favourites, Man United are the only team he could play for at the back because that's his level. He doesn't get into any other team just because of the way they play. They all play high, squeeze up. I just think he's, the one good thing he is good at, we talk about, he is good at driving out from the back with the ball. Yeah. That's I think that's his strength. When we're talking about playing out from the back, it's not always passing. You can drive into, and I think he is good with that. But he's not at the level of Matip. We've got, and I've said this before. I said this in the preview show. I think we've got the best 4 centre halves in the league. As a group. But the rest. I think the Ronaldo one was interesting. The fact that Carragher didn't have him, and I understand why he didn't have him, just because. We want to press, you don't do it, but I think you could probably get away with Ronaldo playing in there. And I think the way Gary Neville did with Firmino in, he'll do dog because you can get away with one one person. I think Ronaldo's obviously gonna have to start in it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I kind of agree with Gary Neville's front line, Jamie Carragher's back line.
Yeah.
Just in we've obviously discussed Man United's team there. Going on to Liverpool's, obviously we've got a couple of injuries in midfield. Just your thoughts on the three keeping in position. I think it was Keita, Henderson, and Milner. I think it was on the last game. Would you keep those three? And also forwards wise, obviously we've got Bobby Firmino notched a hat-trick. Jota, depending on if they all come through unscathed in the Champions League game, which team would you go for against Man United?
I'd pick the same team that played against Watford. I mean, the midfield's obviously a bit. We're unlucky midfield injury at the moment because a lot seem to be injured at the same time. Got Thiago out, Curtis Jones out, Harvey Elliott out. You know what I mean? So them three potentially could. Well, they'd all start. You know, so we've got them three missing. But then the midfield, we've got. You know, we have got. People say we've got a strong squad. You know, everyone talks about Man United, Chelsea, and Man United, Man City, thinking, yeah, we can still put a good midfield out. So we had Keita, Henderson, Milner on Saturday, then you've still got Oxlade-Chamberlain on the bench. You know what I mean? Who's more than capable of playing in there. So I think we have got 7, 8 good midfielders, and then the midfield 4 good. Back line's absolutely fine as well. Yeah, so I think it's the midfield, one of those that whoever's ready fit plays. Obviously we've got Fabinho, who's got the him and Alisson. It's weird, isn't it? Him and Alisson can play in the Champions League because they're in Madrid for the quarantine, but then they can't.
It's ridiculous.
I couldn't get my head around it. I was like, right, so they can play tomorrow. So that's obviously how Fabinho plays. He comes straight in, which Fabinho's class.
I've been really pleased with Kelleher. Like, you know, he didn't have much to do the other day, but you know, he's a hell of a shot stopper. He seems very calm.
He used to be an outfield. I think he used to be a striker till he was 16. He used to be an outfield player till he was 16, and he got his.
I didn't know that, but you can tell.
He's really good with the ball at his feet. You know, when you get teams playing out from the back and you think, oh, don't go back to the keeper. Do you know what I mean? He's trying to, but with him, you know, because he can just ping it. You know what I mean? He's absolutely fine. I think he's probably. He's up there with some of the best in the league, you know, for playing out from back. But that's just because he played as an outfield player till he was 16 and he's only 22. Yeah, and he got his first Ireland cap as well, didn't he? Over against, I think it was against Qatar during the recent international break. So I think that's good. I think it's the most. I think from Man United fans, I think Liverpool fans, you know, we could get beat because it's just at Old Trafford. We don't seem to have a great record there recently, and it's. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, where he seems to fucking pull some out of his ass whenever he needs it, you know what I mean? So it might be one of those. But I just think it'd be really interesting for Man United to get beat. How much? At the moment, there's I'd say a decent amount of fans that want him out, but I'd not say it's the vast majority yet, or they're not very vocal about it.
The ones in the stadium, they're the last to go. You know what I mean? They're the last to go.
I like it. Yeah.
You're
right.
I think it's
so
more
once
the people
they go. Once they go, but then I think the owners wouldn't be able to do it. But then the issue for Man United is, who do you bring in? How do you replace it? Because it's been 10 years, 12 years, or however long it is since Fergie's left. And I've said to Man United fans, they laughed at me. I said, when from Fergie left after a few years, said, you know what, you're not going to win the league again for 30 years, because that's what happened with Liverpool. You know, we had great managers, things changed. When that manager leaves, everything changes. You try to go back. Solskjaer's almost like your Roy Evans. You know, but Roy Evans didn't think, one of the old guard coming in and know how the club works. It don't work. And there's a lot of similarities between Solskjaer and Roy Evans. Very nicey nice, aren't they? You know what I mean? You never had to, I just think there's a lot of, they've got a long way to go. I think the squad, we've said it before, the squad is so unbalanced, so unbalanced.
You can't afford to make as many wrong decisions in a row that United have made in appointments, in player acquisitions. And again, it mimics Liverpool in the past. And, you think of the likes of Man City have came along, Chelsea have came along, Liverpool are rising again, Newcastle are potentially on the horizon. It could be a while before they are looking at a title again. But just back onto the game at the weekend, I just want to know your prediction, and I'm just going to give you mine before you give us yours. I'm going to go with a convincing 4-1 win, and the reason I'm going to say that, I think it's going to be a tight affair in the first half. I think it's going to, and then once we get a couple, I think the floodgates will just open, and then I think the fans will just go mental. I just see it being a bit of a massacre, if I'm honest. But then again, I said this on the title-winning season. I think we drew there, and it was one of them games where we just didn't show up. And I think Lallana scored right near the end, and we just bottled it. But I'm hoping for it, and I believe it, and I'm going to put it into the air, and I'm going to believe it, and I'm going to wish it into fruition.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing sweeter than beating your old enemy in there. I just, I can't actually. I mean, we're the better team. You know, we're playing better, but it's a derby, innit? And the old cliche. We hate using cliches in this podcast, but the old cliche, form goes out the window, and it does. You know, and I'm kind of like thinking. We've said it before, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and his 20p's coming out at the last minute, not coming, he'll drop the jackpot and he'll be like, win 1-0, and then he'll give a massive spiel and say, yeah, this is what Carragher said, and back up to you, you know what I mean? It's just stick your opinions where they don't matter. We're Man United, we're going to come back, you know, they'll end up scoring a last minute winner. He said, oh yeah, Man United, back in the day, we always just score last minute winners. It'll be something along those lines. I just think it's such a tough one to call. I mean, I think, you know, I'll go for a tight win for us. I mean, it's just going to be like I said. It's just a game that I'm so intrigued to see how it works out and pans out. You know, it's weird, and even if we lose, I'm not going to be gutted because it means Solskjaer stays in the job for a bit longer.
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's one of those ones where, like, you know, I've never done it myself, but you back against the team that you love. You know, you bet against the team that you love. It's kind of like it's not a win-win, so to speak, but you know, it buys them that little bit more time. But yeah, this could be a game where the likes of, you know, the players that haven't showed up yet, like Sancho, you know, you remember when Rashford burst onto the scene, Martial burst onto the scene against us. Could be one of them, you know.
I mean, Sancho's been dog shit, by the way, this season. You know, for what they spent, he's not even been shown. But yeah, we said it was going to be short and sharp, and I think it is. As always, question of the day. No prize for guessing what it is. Who do you think's going to win? Let us know down below. I know, as always, you've got this far. I know it's only 10, 15 minutes, whatever it is. You know, give us that. Subscribe to us, like and share. Let friends and family know. So we've got two wonderful up-and-coming podcasters who are going to take over the world. Give us a like, give us a share, give us a subscribe. It'll be appreciated. Until next time, peace out, people.
See you later, guys.